Good morning. My name is Tanis Elliott. I'm originally from Keene, New Hampshire, a small town in the southwestern corner of New Hampshire, close to the borders of Vermont and Massachusetts, where I spent most of my childhood and teen years. In high school, I did a year abroad in Townsville, Queensland, Australia, that opened my mind, vision, and understanding of opportunities in the world and changed my life. Upon returning and graduating, I went to the University of New Hampshire, where I studied cultural anthropology and Spanish, and came down to Ecuador to do a year at the Catholic University down here, and fell in love with the country and also met my current husband of 23 years and father of 2 children. Upon returning to graduate, I then applied for a full-rate scholarship, which brought me back to Ecuador to work with street children and orphans who were shining shoes in the streets of Quito, and programs that would help them get off the streets and into educational programs or schools. All of these experiences prepared me to become a teacher, although I never knew during those years that teaching was something I would even consider. I now understand it all and why it happened now. I had a car accident while I was down here and needed to pay off some debt, so I started teaching English to adults, TOEFL preparation and ESL, and decided I needed to have a better understanding of what I was doing, so I applied to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst and returned to the States for a few years, where I got my degree there and had my first child. We returned with our daughter Ariel in 2002, and I worked at various institutes, universities, teaching English until it was time for Ariel to go to school. And I suddenly realized that I did not believe in traditional education at all, that I needed something completely different for my daughter, for myself, and for our family. And life brought me, the universe brought me to where I am today. It's become a part of my family. It's become a home for me, a home away from home, a home within a home away from home. And even though we can hear the chainsaw working on making our place a little bit safer, I'd like to share some of the outside environment with you today, as well as some of the inside environment, and give you an idea of what we do down here in Ecuador. You can see that we're blessed with beautiful trees, flowers, vegetation. Unfortunately, many of the trees on the property that we rent here are quite old, and as the strong summer winds hit us, we run into some danger issues. We've had numerous trees fall the week before classes start throughout the years, and we're trying to prevent some of that today. But hopefully you'll also be able to hear the wind and the birds singing and get an idea of what kind of surroundings the children have when they are able to go outside for their classes, for their quiet time, for their individual studies, for their projects. We have an amazing view. We also have agri-water coming down alongside the property, which allows for meditations barefoot. We spend a lot of time walking in the grass, a lot of time sitting in the grass, and feeling very blessed that this is where we get to spend each day. Our school is called Unidad Educativa Despertar Fundación SKAS, and it has 160 students from ages 2 to 22 of various abilities, socioeconomical backgrounds, and walks of life. Our slogan, or our philosophy, based around our Montessori philosophy and life philosophy is excellent students and extraordinary human beings. Here I'd like to introduce you to Trix. Trix is the tree that protects or guards the whole school and connects with all the other trees. I'm sure he's suffering a little today with the fact that we have to take down one of the trees before the students arrive. This is our field, which probably should just be called a soccer field since that is the sport of choice in Ecuador. There's not usually a truck on it, but they're delivering the school supplies for the arrival of the students next week. From our school, we're lucky to have a view, although it's being blocked by new construction across the street, of Cotopaxi, the highest active volcano in the world. It's snow-covered year-round by the glacier, and we are blessed to be able to see it on clear days. The best view is from the high school's farm area. Although we are not able to provide the full Montessori experience at the high school level of a residential farm, the students built their own greenhouse, grow food for the school and for their independent business. This is where students first start at SKAS, where they learn the rules and norms that will help them move on to Children's House. This is our on-site kitchen and cafeteria area, which, although not yet set up for students to arrive, is getting ready. Students receive a vegetarian hot meal every day as a snack, and all of that is cooked on site. This is our on-site human-size foosball machine table and art area, project area, and children's house. And I've just been asked to move away for falling limbs, so excuse the increased speed. Children are lucky not only to have nature around them everywhere in their environment here at school, but Ecuador, despite its very small size, offers one of the largest biodiverse realities on our planet. Paquita, who has been living at the school longer than we have, represents some of the diversity that the children find in their daily living here in Ecuador, but also on our yearly educational field trips that take us to the coast, the jungle, the highland, Andes, and one year even to the Galapagos. Students are able to bring their work out to these areas. Many of the guides bring different projects out here. Presentations are held on these grounds. Our graduation is actually held here. Although we're a small school, the land is quite large. To my left, you can see our elementary primary school building, which we call Elemental, and at the far, I'm translating and trying to remember my English vocabulary as I go, and we have the high school level buildings coming into view. Our high school is divided into two sections. The first is for university preparation, university-bound students who work on project-based learning and a portfolio to help them show all that they've been able to do through a Montessori education. Although the country is still questioning it, some of the parents are still questioning it, the government is still questioning it, they're able to prepare themselves for university here, pass the exams, and then have a portfolio that will show all that they have experienced, learned, and discovered along the way. The second part of our high school level is for students, most of whom have some type of learning special needs and are preparing for professions directly out of high school. Work in this part of our school, which has a carpentry area, mechanics area, and access to a kitchen, as well as areas for math, science, social studies, and language that will prepare them for life skills needed to integrate successfully and independently into society. The director's office is located in the center of all of this splendor, and she's able to meet with teachers, guides, as we refer to them here, parents. This is Antor. Antor is considered one of the many children of Trix, who I introduced you to earlier. He is the tree that the primary school children have chosen as representative of their group, and who they hug and touch each morning to thank, give, and express their gratitude, and send their negative energy down into his roots and into the earth, with his permission, of course, and receive his healthy natural energy before entering into their area for study, which is the Elemental building, where they have 5 different areas that they rotate through each day without grades, without a time schedule, without school bells. And this is for children 6 to 12 who will hopefully be receiving a much more complete, mystical, and creative cosmic education this year. Children of all levels take off their shoes before going into the building, so they put their shoes in the lockers and their boots hanging, and then other people who come to visit put their shoes. Unfortunately, right now we're in preparation, so things are not organized and orderly as they should be. This is the English area in Elemental, the primary school. It's the first time that we've had this much space, and it will cover all the needs of the school this year. We are in a process of inventory and organization, as I mentioned earlier, for the school. We've been lucky to have donations throughout the years that we have been able to get down to Ecuador and build quite a library for the English area. Beyond the curtain is the math area, which students enter when there's space to do so, and they're in a process of training as they're changing guides for next year. We have our social studies area following the river down. In the middle of the river we have the kitchen that I referred to, which can be used for cooking at our level or for the high school level. Not necessarily experiments, as we do have a small laboratory, but any experiments that would not be dangerous. for a cooking environment. We have the language area, and the cushions that the children sit on are having their covers washed, so they're currently without covers. And we have the natural science area with a view of the office and storage areas. For me, the best representation of what we do here and the reasons that I believe so much in this project can be seen on our website. The diversity, the joy, the integration, the concentration, the colorfulness, the activity, contact with nature. For all these reasons, I feel blessed every day to be working where I am, to be growing where I am, and to be learning where I am. And even more excited that my experience with ties will be applied to such a meaningful environment with the goal of education for peace and a new world.